Hey everybody, good morning, happy Tuesday, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Ann, Disembodied Hands, Quinty, Disembodied Beard, John, and Twisted Oma. Hello. So yeah, since I have to call out a new name every time, you guys have to talk more at the start. Hello everybody, hello. Oh boy, oof. My leg is like, hey. I did some, I was like, hey, I can do high intensity interval training on my days apart from CrossFit because I can't lift weights because I don't want to do 2 days in a row of weightlifting. I'm like, that'll be just fine. And this morning I'm like sore. Oh, high intensity interval training is not for noobs. That's what I'm learning. And I'm starting on the noob level, so. But yes, I'm like, what did I do to myself? With my luck, it's going to be squats tonight for CrossFit. Add insult to injury. I've been chatting with Christine Van Patten because she started a training program about the same time that I started getting serious into mine. Of course, she had a lot less to work. You know, like she wasn't as flabby as I am when she started. So she's made amazing progress in a short period of time. But I have hope. So I've been chatting to keep each other excited about it. That means it worked. Yeah, right. Yeah. Good, Valthorn. All right, good. Yeah, that can happen. Like, when it's been sitting for a while, the resins and the pigments, they all just fall out of solution slowly. They slowly filter through the water, through the binder, and just kind of settle out. And if they've had a long time to settle out, especially if they're larger particulates, which means heavier, they're going to compress faster. And it can take a bit. Like, for me, that lemon yellow that have been sitting around in my box forever, for at least a year. I had to actually stick the brush in and stir it up and then shake it, and then it was fine. Yeah, well, I have a YouTube series. I don't know if you knew that, Valthorn, because you've been gone for a while. So, youtube.com/@paintingbig, all one word. Foundations, fundamentals of mini painting. And I have one on smooth base coats and on every technique, like base coats, washes, glazes, layering, wet blending, just everything. I just talk about it all. It's like 17 videos. They're short. They're between like 8 minutes and 20 minutes, depending on how much I have to cover. Emergency. Yep. I just bought a new strawberry protein powder. So David's just like, what happened to my wife? But I really want strawberry protein shakes, especially heading into the summer. I want to be able to do fruity ones. So this'll help me do fruity protein shakes. Because I love my chocolate protein shake, don't get me wrong, but it tastes like the best chocolate, like chocolate hot, like technically I drink it cold, but it's the best drinking chocolate ever. Although I use regular protein powder for that, and I just add my cocoa powder. But yeah. Yeah, it's not the worst part of being ill, yeah. Maxed out on coffee, yeah. Oh my gosh, 3.5, that's like too many. Oh, Twisted Oma. You're gonna be through the sky. Hold on, Quinty, take your allergy pill. The barometric pressure is shifting here. We're supposed to get rain this weekend. But my body can already feel it coming. Yuck. Alrighty. Elwin, let's see here. What do I want to do today? So this is one of those cases where I think I am actually going to block in the whole model before we start doing anything else. Because it is the muted palette, and I'm just like kind of like looking at it with trepidation, like wondering where it's going to bite me. I'm going to, I think, work on blocking in this model and making color choices. That makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to do protein shakes if you're not working out, in my opinion. I mean, if you get very low protein, then yeah, sure, because it makes sense then, because it lets you an easy way to up your protein if you're only getting the minimum. But yeah, other than that, I didn't really add them in until I started CrossFit. And then I started doing one after workout. you got, yeah. Don't worry, you'll get it back, Valthorn. You'll get it back. You're just out of practice. You just need to recover, like, your muscle memory and stuff. It's okay. You're a carnivore. It's not a problem. Yeah, but for so many people, it is a problem, right? Oh, I missed Turgeon. Hold on. Oh. Is that your new strength goal? Sling Kiki, everyone should learn David over the other. Oh, that'd be a very unbalanced load, unless David lost a lot of weight or Kiki gained a lot. Oh, lordy. Bench pressing Kiki, though. Like, or, like, pressing Kiki. That would be overhead, with Kiki looking really surprised and alarmed. That would work. Just let me get less fat and more muscle before we do that miniature, okay? Yeah. Oh, those are almost always neutrals, Shadow Raven. Almost always neutrals. I was reading an article about an 84-year-old, 84 or 82 or 84, who runs marathons still. Clocks 10 to 12 miles a day in running. 82. And, like, in her 50s, she had, like, a mile. She could do a mile in well under 8 minutes. Yeah, just refresh when that happens, Twistedoma. Usually you want to de-emphasize unless you're trying to pull attention up. So I just stick, by the way, when I've got a separate weapon like this, I just usually stick it to the sticky tack on the base. I'm usually not going to paint it until I have everything worked out up here, but in this case, but this keeps it from getting lost. Yeah, for legs it's almost always, and actually technically he has thigh-high boots. So this is all leather, and then if you want to paint, or at least he's got leg armor that's leather. So the pants are really only way up there. Like, there's a little tiny sliver of leggings or whatever. Hold on, let me get in focus. There we are. Yeah. So only this little tiny section at the top is really pants. So then the rest of this is boot with sections, right, that you could make other leather colors or whatever. I would probably choose 2 different colors of leather here and contrast them. And then go really dark for the boots. So if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going... You could do it one of 2 ways. You could go black with the sections and then a bit lighter, and then brown for the boots, or you could do browns and then black for the boots. I would probably alternate. If I'm going to do black on the leggings, then I'm going to do black on the boots in general. So hey, I tend to go red, yellow, blue a lot these days, but green, orange, purple is respectable, Laura, so don't worry about it. I was thinking about going with some soft green here also. And we could do that. We could actually go with, like, ancient oak here instead and shade it down and bring it up. Maybe we'll do that. Putting green on elves is such a gamble, though, because inevitably you get that whole, like, woodsy elves comparison. I really don't want to go wood elf with him. So I think I'm more likely to go with the ancient oak over for the accents. So we've got this side. See, this side looks like actual pants, and then we've got... He's got a taller boot on one side and a shorter boot on the other because, damn it, Talon. Damn it, Izzy. That's why. Because Izzy likes asymmetrical armor schemes. That's why. Right, and the way to deal with that, you can make the pouches different colors if you want. Shadow Raven, I mean, colored leather, dyed leather is a thing. I almost never go away and make colors on the legs unless I'm like repeating a color and using it to pull the attention. So like for this lady, she's got yellow because she's got yellow everywhere. So, and from the front, you don't really see the legs except for that tiny bit of yellow at the bottom. So putting that yellow down there doesn't matter because I've got a lot more yellow up at the top, right? Likewise, with Bunny, Bunny's got yellow pants, but Bunny's also white fur, and so the white fur is going to pull your eye, and the yellow spell effect also pulls that up. Probably the one I've done the most away from that is Zari. But Zari also, again, like has a lot of blingy stuff that draws your attention elsewhere. And so the white is a gamble down here because it pulls your attention away from her face, especially because she's dark skinned. But the guitar helps to pull pull you up, and then you actually do focus on the face. So this is actually not great color composition. It's not great color composition because if I really wanted to draw attention to the most important part of the model, I needed to accentuate contrast up here more than I did. All of the contrast is here in the middle. It goes up there because people like to look for a face, but it's just way too distracting down here, and it's just not, it's lackluster up here. So that's something you don't want to do. So it works because everybody loves to see the stripy pants and the cool guitar, but it doesn't work, as a general composition study for a figure. So yeah, you're going to be using black and brown. But see, people get so like, oh, but there's going to be a lot of brown. And nobody will notice. Like people, if you do brown all through here, people aren't going to care. They're going to look at the colors that you put elsewhere. The point of the black and brown at that point is not like it's not actually boring. It's just to essentially fill out these areas so that you can have a frame for the colors around it. So get over the fact that something in your head says that's too much brown. There is no too much brown. Not ever. Yes, there is a lot of, yeah, totally like throwing yourself out of your color zone, your color comfort zone. Kuroniko can be a good test. Yeah, there's a lot of bling here. Little metal details here, and probably on the edges of things as well. So if I go with a gold on that, I will have to make it really faded out. Yeah, all the brown. Oh, that's funny, Kuroniko. They're freehand, seriously. Almost always if you see stripy pants, it's going to be. Unless it's like a Landsknecht Knight from the 1800s, I think. They had actually piping on their pants. But for the most part, when you see it on a fantasy figure, it's freehand. Hey, Hyper, how's it going? We're talking about color composition today because I'm going to be blocking this in. I think I'm going to go black. We're going to start working it up. So let's grab some black, and I will actually use black because this is a muted color scheme. When you are using a muted color scheme, unless you know that your off black is like something like noir black, very, very muted, stick to black. Don't get fancy and think you can use black indigo like we do with the bee or blue liner or whatever. Because blue liner, when we highlight it up, is going to be way too blue for the rest of this composition. Our job right now is to make the purple the main player. I'm going to go blonde with his hair, by the way. I've already decided because we're going to purple gold. We'll do, essentially this will be a yellow purple color scheme, but it's going to be a very muted yellow purple color scheme. So it'll be different. And then there'll be an accent color. I just have to decide what it is once I see how much of it I need. Oh, okay. They're that early, huh? I couldn't remember. I guess, yeah, armor and swords were gone by the 1800s, even the early 1800s. Except in, like, ceremonial close combat. I mean, they still use swords and stuff in the Napoleonic Wars, but they weren't the main means of aggression. Anyway, the point about the pants stands. My time zones may be challenged, but my pants knowledge. And I throw the mini across the room. Yay, mini! That's why we're happy it's Bones USA. 1 second while I retrieve myself a mini, folks. Must retrieve. It went way under the desk. Alrighty. You got it. We saved it. Ah. Black brown leather scheme. Well, it depends on what browns you're going to use. Not all browns are made equal. You should vary your lights, darks, and mids, just like I always tell you with any color scheme, Polly. So you should probably use something very dark, like a walnut brown or a blackened brown, and then choose kind of a middle brown, and then choose a light brown. Or you could go with a reddish brown as your mid brown. But it all depends on how muted or saturated your browns are, too. So in other words, you got to get me more information. I can't actually give you an example on that. Brown is a huge gamut of colors, and I cannot give you a generalized answer. Although if you're using black, then perhaps you don't use walnut. Perhaps you go with russet brown instead for your dark brown. It's lighter. You're going to need something that differentiates from the black, probably. And then choose a mid or light brown. Stick to those 3 and alternate them. I'm getting so much paint on my pokey stick. 1 second. I woke up early today and I could not get back to sleep. So I'm feeling okay so far, but it's weird. Okay, that is more information. That's hard to do on a 28, but you can do it. It's just, it tends to look a little bit weird because you don't have the room to actually show what's going on. It's much easier to do, if I were doing that, I would not go with black. I'd actually go with walnut, and I'd bring that up. Because if you're doing a 28mm model, if it's a giant, then you can get away with it. Ah, yeah. Yeah, regular bones, yeah. They're good practice minis. They're great to give to your kids, if you have them. So yeah, the problem with black leather is that, yes, when it cracks or scuffs, you get those light brown, the actual color of the leather shows through. But when you try to do that at 28, it just looks like you're highlighting your black with light brown, and it looks weird. Yeah, I don't think I have anything dark that I've done cracked, except for there was a giant a long time ago. Cause yeah, and if I'm gonna do scuffed leather, that's almost always I almost actually go with kind of a bluish gray or a washed out brownish gray if I'm gonna do scuff marks and stuff on black, just because. Even though it's real, it still looks counterintuitive when you're painting everything else to a 28mm scale. Some people will get what you're doing, but if you don't execute it really, really well, it'll look odd. I need to go with very muted colors here. So I've got my black. I'm going to go with a mixture of walnut and russet and highlight and bring it up. In fact, I think I'm going to grab my blonde hair. Oh, blonde hair. Please tell me I didn't lose you. Oh, no. Did I bring you in the other room? Gosh darn it. I hate it when I do this. Where did my blonde hair go, guys? I had it, and then it ran away. And I really needed it for this, too. I'm going to make sure I didn't stuff it somewhere, illogical. Oh, I know where it is. It's sitting in back. I used it for the muted colors PDF and then I forgot. One second. I actually sadly put it in my my paint bucket, my paint box. It's exiled. There we go. Gotten out all the paints that I actually needed from that before I put the rest of them away. Nico, I think that's a hard challenge. Yeah, I think to make the black leather with the tan leather showing through really work, you need a big piece of leather to do it. Because you have to be able to show like where the leather's been cracked, the edges have been cracked, and it's like, it can be very, very hard to show. So yeah, so blonde hair because it's very muted. I actually grabbed out Sorceress Mist, which I almost never use, but this is a great highlight for this middle purple. So I grabbed out this color. This is in the grade, the Misty Colors Triad, with Jungle Mist and whatever the blue one is called. I forgot. But this is the kind of color scheme, and you won't use it very often, but when you are using a color scheme like this, it works. And if you look at these, they're pretty much perfect complements. It's a complementary colors. Glacial Mist, yeah, Glacial Mist, you're right. Alrighty, so I am going to mix. I'm using walnut because I know that it is really going to give me a gray color when I add anything with white to it. I'm going to pop some russet in there to give it a little bit more life, because otherwise it will be really gray, and I don't want something that's really gray. I want something that has a little bit of life to it. So we're going to pop these guys together, and we're going to see what we get. And this is just a case of just mixing and seeing what you get. When you need a really muted brown, we could use Shield Brown. It is pretty muted, but much of the time I prefer to just mix something if I have an idea what I want and I so we got the walnut. Oh, and this is cloggy again. Cloggy. Man, everything wants to clog today. So I committed to actual fitness goals yesterday, guys, which I'm always terrified to do because I've failed to meet them so many times. But I've swapped up my diet. I mentioned I was eating a lot more protein, I think, but I also swapped up some other elements of it. And I feel different. Like I can tell something's different. So, in a good way. There we go. So I got ambitious and I wrote down actual solid goals, which is I want to lose 12 pounds in the next 6 months. So it's only 2 pounds a month. It should be doable, even for me. And I want to, so that'll be like around ReaperCon, right? And then I want to be able to do a pull-up by the end of the year. Kipping pull-ups, okay. Just need to be able to do some sort of actual pull-up by the end of the year. Kind of going okay, you think? It should be an okay base for silver. Alright, so we've got the walnut with the russet brown. Now we're going to pop a little bit of blonde hair in there. What's that's going to do is give us a little bit more yellow pigment in there, a little bit more brown pigment in there, and some white. But it's not just white, which would have a chance to just blow out the color and make it very pasty. This is why you use off-whites. When you want to introduce white, but you know that doing so is probably going to just like make the color too gray. And you want it a little warmer than that. So let's see. Let's see how this goes. Yes. Yeah, Moonstone can make an excellent. Moonstone Blue can also make an excellent, an interesting base for NMM steel or silver. Yeah, I was trying to make it really reasonable, Kodiak. I have high hopes for this. It's funny. The thing that probably contributed the most to this is the fact that I've had to eat bread for the last, 2 weeks because of the celiac test they want me to take. So I had to actually throw more whole grain carbs into my diet, and sometimes not grain carbs. Pastry, I'm looking at you. But that is essentially forced me to slide my carbs higher in the healthiest way I can manage, and then drop my fat lower because I'm upping my protein. There we go. That's an interesting muted brown. So usually, what you make you might call mud, but sometimes we want mud. I think this brown is pretty good. I'm going to actually warm it up just a little. I'm gonna see if one more drop of russet brown, or that's more like half a drop because there's a bubble in it, can help to warm it up just a little. Oh, I'm doing measurements. Actually, I stopped weighing. That's the other thing I did, Kerniko. I used to get on the scale every day, and I've stopped. I've told myself I'm only going to allow myself to weigh in once every 2 weeks, because otherwise, when the scale inevitably goes up, I get so discouraged and I stop, right? So when you learn that you've got a trigger like that, avoid it. That's what I've learned about like losing weight and getting in shape. When you learn you have a trigger, do what you can to avoid that trigger. The Bones paints are the best thing I ever did, Valthorn. Honestly, I developed that line with like over a decade of paint mixing and paint line development experience under me. The Bones line is the single line I would recommend. Like, if you were only going to pick up like I don't know, 60 or 70 paints of MSP and nothing else, I'd say pick up the Bones line, and then certain colors from Core, like the liners and walnut and russet brown, things like that are the pure pigment colors, the oxides. But the Bones paint, I believe, is superior, especially the oranges and yellows. The skin tones are about the same. I would say that, except for the dark skin tones, which are superior. Absolutely superior. All right, got our black. We want to make sure that our brown is different enough light dark value-wise. And I think these are close, but I think that'll do for my dark leather. I'm going to put it on and see what it looks like. So this is I'm going to put just a tiny bit more. I want a tiny bit more russet brown in there. Crow is pretty much like, if you really want to make a change, what I've learned is like, you should make the change that you can make and then build on that. Like, if you look at me, do I have I don't know where I put that picture. I'll have to find it. Well, actually, that's pretty good, though. So you guys know what I look like now. When my brother got married, that was me. I was probably 125 pounds. And my highest weight ever... I have a picture of myself like that's in a t-shirt with my mom in San Antonio. That's even more obvious how overweight I am. No, Valthorn, no. All right, here's the dealio. Yes, they're higher coverage, but in the case of the oranges and yellows, that translates to a better paint. The greens also are higher coverage and nice and solid. The blues, Void blue is the only one I would change. I'm not a big fan of blue of void. So there are bones colors that I'm not as big of a fan of and that I wish I had done differently. And that in that case, I would go to like say cyan blue in the core line. But they're essentially Ed wanted me to create a new line of paint that was Bones branded that focused a little bit more on higher coverage. And that's what I did. But I also used that, like I used all the knowledge and all the new technology and all the stuff that I'd had to make a really solid line of like 54 plus colors. The later colors are ones that got just kind of added in, usually from HD. But, I mean, honestly, these days, what I ended up doing, because I don't know if you knew this, Valthorn, but Reaper is looking at paring down the paint line because it's just got bloat. It's too big. So, Ron asked me for input, and I gave him my input, and my input pretty much kept about 80%, 75% of the Bones line, and, like, then the core line stuff that I liked and killed everything else. Well, it's really transparent, and if you're willing to work with that, Hyper Bunny, then it's great. It's a really good color. I personally go more for Ritterlich Blue 9115 because it's a little bit higher coverage and a little bit less of a demon for me to work with. Because I like to paint dark blues, I like to start dark. Void is just a little bit too weebly for me on that. But if you need a dark blue glaze, it's got your back. And it's super saturated. So I was 225 pounds. No, not 125. 225 Shadow Raven. I was 225 in that. Sorry, guys. Very overweight. When my brother got married. Then when I went on keto, I went down to 160. And my heaviest weight was 246. So, me at my heaviest to the best I did in keto is a loss of 86 pounds. But that didn't happen at once, right? That happened in stages. First, I went gluten-free, right? Gluten-free and just kind of trying to control my calories a little bit brought me down to 225. And then from 225 is when I got on the low-carb thing. And what low-carb did for me was it just killed cravings. I didn't realize at the time that I had IBS. But I almost certainly did at that point. Because I had a lot of gas, I had a lot of gastric upset. And the keto diet pretty much removed all the foods that would have caused gastric upset. So essentially I felt so much better, right? And I didn't have cravings because I wasn't eating a lot of sugar. Because I had to kill it all. So that enabled me to like get down again, right? But then I gained weight back, just living with David, because I went off of keto, I went back to low carb, and I gained back up to about 180, which is when I started CrossFit. At 180, I was like, I'd kind of given up on losing weight again, because I didn't want to do keto again. So I was just like, well, let's get in shape, right? I'm doing the browns time. Doing the browns. I was tuning this one to make it a little warmer. But we're going to block in everything on this model. Which is something I don't usually do, but I want to do it on this one because I'm using such a muted color scheme that I really need it for reference. So there's going to be a lot of brown on this model. There's going to be a lot of neutrals. It's going to be a purple gold color scheme, but the gold is going to be very muted. So let's do the brown and the black. Let's see how this brown looks next to the purple. Perfect, actually. If anything, the big problem with this brown is it's the same value as the purple, but that will be countered by the fact that I'm going to go with a lighter leather, a yellowy leather, on all the other parts. Bummer on the medications, though. Hyper Bunny. But still good. Nice, Kodiak. Nice. This is the new remastered one that's in the Bones USA material, Time Buster. They just put this mini out as a Bones USA and made it the 90-day challenge for the Reaper 90-day challenge competition. So a lot of people, even if you painted the metal one a long time ago, the plastic one is newly remastered. It's very nice. It's very crisp, and it's part of that competition. So if you wanted to paint a new one and put it into the competition, I don't know what the rewards are for the competition. Bragging rights, obviously. I don't know. Are there prizes for the 90-day challenge? I never even asked, guys. I never even asked. Yeah, the nice thing about the new one is that it's cheaper. Maybe it's not cheaper than if you bought the old one when it first came out, right? But nowadays, because the cost of tin has gone so high, metal miniatures are really getting prohibitive. Ed saw that coming a long time ago, and that's why he made the move first to Bones and then to Siacast. He just foresaw that it wasn't going to stop anytime soon. But that's a different color, so... You see, though, this is why I tell you guys to alternate, right? To alternate your lights and darks. Because when you have a color that's the same value, it tends to just blend in. And so you need something else to break it up. You can do it, but then you need to do what I'm going to do a light brown on other parts, for example, to stand out against that dark purple. Store credit. Okay, so gift cards. First and second place get their minis photo on the product page. Nice! Why isn't that called father figure? Oh, wow. Awesome. Your girlfriend's the best. Yeah, but anyway. So my fitness is kind of what I'm trying to say is my fitness came in stages over lengths of time that helped me to internalize the ideas I needed and the knowledge I needed to make big changes. So... I know some people can just throw themselves at this and make a big change, and I guess my keto weight loss was that. But at the same time, it wasn't sustainable for me over the really long haul. And so, don't lose heart just because you're older or you think that you're kind of stuck in your ways. Like, you could do it. You do have to care about it. You do have to want to feel better. In a lot of ways, the same thing is true of mini painting. It's like, you try it, you drop it. You pick it up again, you get a little better at certain things. Maybe you fade out of it again, you know. Maybe then you pick it up and you make huge progress and you're really happy, but then you stall out at some point. You can't break that gold medal barrier or whatever. So then you have to sit and you have to wait around. And you have to kind of, you know, over that time, like maybe come to some conclusions about like, okay, well, why can't I? What's stalling me here, right? And you're going to have to figure out if it's actually a technique or if it's actually mindset, right? Because it can be yourself. And then when you go back to it, that's when you make the big change. That's when you finally hit it. And a lot of people just don't get to that self-actualization final stage, right? They get as far as they can go, or they think they can go. They're pretty happy with that, and they just say, this is good enough. And that's fair. That's absolutely fair. If that's all you want your hobby to be to you, that's fine. Yeah, that's a big one, Laura. That's a big one. When you get below that 200 line, that feels so freaking good. When I was doing keto, that was the point where I knew it was real. I felt so much better than I had for a long time when I did that. But yeah, so everything, all progress, is going to come in stages. Because you know what? Even if you could magically, like, get the brush control and the knowledge of the paint consistency all at once in, like, with magic and genie wishes, it would take you time to implement that. You would need time to absorb that, right? We cannot all go Keanu Reeves learn Kung Fu in 0.5 milliseconds. then that's great, Hyper. Then that's perfect. Like, then that's for you, really, right? The nice thing is that as you lose weight, then you feel more capable of increasing your fitness, right? Exercise becomes easier, not a complete pain, which is huge. All right, so this pant I'm staring at, it's got to be either brown or black. And whatever color I make it, the leather pouch is going to be the opposite. So well, just come and don't enter the competition, Dogfather. I know the competition has been part of the problem, so why not, just avoid it? Just go and if you ask yourself, if you went and just enjoyed painting with people and your friends, and you didn't enter the competition but just cheered on all your peeps, would you feel better? Would you feel more inspired? How much? In other words, how much is that bad experience with competition poisoning your mindset there? Right? Like, maybe the answer is to just come and enjoy hanging out with everybody. And see if it relights the fire under your hobby. If you want that, if you are sad that you're not painting, or that painting is not working for you, or that you're lost your inspiration, if that makes you a little sad and you want to get your inspiration back, then consider coming and just painting, just enjoying what you do. No, it's cloth or something. So maybe we'll do it. There's leather down here on the boot. Maybe we'll do it in black and go brown with that and do an accent color backing it. So let's do that. This is the problem with asymmetrical armor schemes, by the way. Don't know if you could do that. Like, it wouldn't be worth it to you to just go and, like, painting classes, take classes, hang out with people, not compete? So is it the competition, then, that's, like, the competition is, like, a big thing for you? But maybe it's too big? I don't know. For me, I would say, see if you can find a way to enjoy it. But if that's not going to work, then it's not going to work. I just don't want you to lose the hobby if you really enjoyed it. And it does seem that you enjoyed it. I mean, you put a lot of time into it. But you can also just give it time. And ask yourself also, as I did as I said in my little motivation PDF that I just put out for the Patreon last month, ask yourself if it's other factors. Because it can also be environment, right? Something else going on in your life that's just getting you down a little bit. But yeah, if you're honestly just not motivated and you're losing interest in the hobby, that's fair. You do not have to stay in the hobby. You can still hang out with us. We still love you. We're all good. As long as we don't bore you with our silly mini talk. I decided I needed a weight bench last night. I went on rogue.com and that was just a mistake. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're valuable to the community no matter what. That's just a truth. It doesn't matter if you never win a competition. All right, so here the other leg kind of tucks under. I'm going to probably make it brown, but I'm going to shade it with the black. I'm going to just put a hint of this brown, because the brown's just going to fade into this purple. But I'll at least put that hint of it in there. And then it just disappears into the folds of fabric anyway, so I'm going to be putting a heavy shadow back there. So black. Now remember, this is going to get lighter, right? So that's going to help some of this stand out. And, I'm going to highlight this as well and shade it. So we'll get a little bit more pop on certain parts of this. Well, if she's into it, you don't want to, like, step back if she wants to go. Like that can be, yeah, that can be really hard. Cause if you've like made her excited about the hobby, I don't know, maybe you just wait a year. Maybe skip ReaperCon this year. Stay home. Paint with your wife or whatever. Enjoy the hobby, or don't take a break, do other things. I know you've mentioned you've been hitting the weights and stuff, and it sounds like you're really into that. I'm into that too, so I get it. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it just takes a break. Go and be arm candy for Chaos Queen. Oh yeah, that's so funny, Hyper. That's so good. So we're gonna do this pouch in this brown color, but there's like piping down the edges of this pouch. There's little fasteners that are probably gonna be NMM, and there's a back piece that I think I'm gonna make a color. Now, going with a kind of a very washed out gold NMM satisfies our purple gold color scheme. I'm still thinking about green for an accent color, though. Technically, the brown counts as a muted orange. Oh, she wants to go. Well, then, yeah, go with her. Because, if you're like she was okay when you were into it and she wasn't, right? So maybe it's time, like maybe it's just a reversal of that for like a year or so. I mean, if you really hate the idea of going, then maybe you do have a discussion, but that's hard because like when your significant other really really wants to, I know with David, sometimes I'll just suck it up. He really wants to, so I'll do it. In fact, I did things that terrified me. Snorkeling. For that man. I hope he understands and appreciates how much I've sacrificed. But yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I know you'll figure it out, Dogfather. I know you'll figure it out. You guys will arrive at the best choice for both of you. Yeah, for real, we love you. Right, how long did she tolerate your hobby before she joined the dark side, right, Turchin? Yeah, Valthorn has a good point, too. Sometimes it's something else, like Pizza Dragon mascot suit. That would be fantastic, Crows. I'm going to use the black to just do a little bit of lining here on the brown, because I've got details on this pouch. But yeah, whatever you arrive at, Dogfather, we'll miss you if you're not there. You're kind of a staple of ReaperCon, but you know what? That doesn't obligate you to keep going. But yeah, if you haven't taken a look at my motivation PDF and my Why Aren't You Painting PDF, you might want to, just to eliminate any potential stuff. But yeah, fear of failure can be real. And sometimes you just gotta go, you know what? It can make me better. That's why I'm watching the freaking Chicago Bulls documentary. My writing coach is such a basketball person. And she's like, watch documentaries that show you that people failed a lot before they succeeded, and that it's okay. It was fun and relaxing, what isn't anymore? Yeah, so there's something there then. There's something there that we could get there. Yeah, check out the motivation PDF. Because I actually bring up stuff like that specifically in the motivation PDF. Where you once loved the hobby, but then you didn't, right? And I give 4 examples from my own life of times when I have started to really not enjoy the hobby and what exactly was fueling it. And it's not, you are not me, but maybe something in there can help you. Maybe something in there will ring a bell. Alrighty, so we got that pouch. So you can see how everything's kind of like balancing each other out. That's good. But now I want to get some green in here, and I think I could go mid with it. I could go light with it, but I want to bring up this purple really light, so I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm going to grab my ancient oak and highlight it, add some lighter color to it to make it a mid green. Where are you, ancient oak? Ancient oak is really versatile this way, guys. It's a very washed out, grayed out dark blue green. And by blue green, it's not a teal, but it has a lot of blue in it. Yeah, taking a break can really help. I agree. I mean, I take lots of long breaks from painting. And David does too. He'll stop and play video games for 3 months, and then he'll pick up painting again, and he'll just go, like, paint every day for 2 months. And he'll, like, finish 3 things, and I'll want to punch him. Anyway, Dog Father, we got your back. Whether you decide to never paint again, whether you decide to just support your wishes in it, whether you decide that you need a break, or whether you can figure out what kind of weirdness your brain is trying to pull on you, because brains do that. They're weird. We're here for you. Totally. Totally and completely. All right, so this is a very dark green. You can tell even by just holding it up, you can tell that it will be okay. Like it's the same muted level as the rest of this. So let's pop this in to a palette. Oh, I need to poke it again. Jeez. The pokey tools are getting a workout today. Oh, yep. I also have been holding off buying Baldur's Gate 3. I'm so, like, I'm dialing my life in, and I feel like, especially when you're trying to establish habits. So I'm trying to establish habits right now with my new diet, new lifestyle, and my workouts, right? And so I feel like throwing... And I'm still trying to maintain my writing habit, right? That I've slowly and painstakingly been building, which could, fall off the bus at any time if I take my eyes off it. I'm trying to build a lot of habits into my life right now. And I feel like throwing a highly immersive, addictive video game into that mix is not a good decision. I think it looks like it could be pretty addictive if you like D&D and haven't had a group for a while, Shadow Raven. I thought the original the other Baldur's Gate was very addictive. Ah, yeah. Yeah, that can so totally like. Although I think Dogfather, I doubt that fear of failure is your problem. Although, because when you do weightlifting, I hate to say this, but you do learn that like you have limits. You do learn. You pay. You pay if you don't. So I'm gonna grab some Leaf Bud Green, guys. One of my favorite colors that we brought out for the Kickstarter. One of the last colors I created for our Reaper. I think that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start there. I've got some muted colors, but I don't want to go too olivey. I'm gonna see how this works and see if I can get a soft green out of this. Souls games are brutal and frustrating, yeah. He's not a gamer, so that's a no. I guess the difference, though, and I'm seeing actually a difference here, difference between like lifting or weight training or fitness training in general is that although you fail, you see progress pretty quickly if you work within your limits, right? And that's not always true in miniature painting if you're using an arbitrary measurement like other people's opinions, which a lot of us do, right? It's hard to see if you're making progress. And so we use other people as a barometer, and sometimes they don't see it. Like maybe we are making progress, but they don't see it, and then we get really sad. So it can be rough. Not everything is as clear cut. Let me see if I can get a nice drop of Leaf Bud in here. Now I'm going to slowly mix this in, guys. And again, what am I doing? I'm using a light color that still has some saturation. Remember, we used the blonde hair. A light color that still has some saturation to try to lighten a dark color that is washed out in the hopes that I can do so without completely blowing out the color. So let's do 2. The dark color is totally taking over, so we might have to do a lot of Leaf Bud. 3, this is going to be a 1-to-1. What this tells me is I probably need to just put a brush full over here and do 4 drops of Leaf Bud. Leaf Bud is a pretty muted green. And when I add it, yeah, there we go. There we go. That's what I needed to do. So when you do that, cut your losses. Grab a brush full of this, move it over, and add more of the light color. Because some of these dark colors are very strong. They've got pigments that are high diffusion. You're going to be fighting them forever, and you're going to waste a lot of paint. So when you see that, when you add like a 1-to-1, but it still looks more like ancient oak than the color you're adding, we can still use that as a shadow, by the way. Meadow green is also faded out, but it is... it was just a little too... Where is it? I've got it in here. 1 second. I'm trying to find my meadow green. And I know it's in here. Or maybe I put it back in the... I might have moved it. I took it out for my... it was another color that I grabbed for my muted colors PDF, so I may have left it in the other room. But meadow green is darker and not as vibrant. So essentially, if you use a color that's darker and not as vibrant with this ancient oak, you're going to have a harder time bringing it up. I really want enough. I don't want a totally grayed out color scheme. I do want some life to my colors, but I want them grayed enough that they will work. Remember also that this green is going to be an accent color, and that means we can get away with a slightly more saturated color. Some people like the challenging video games just because they like the challenge. I do not. I want to play through on easy mode, see the story, and I'm done. So meadow green is too desaturated, I think, Laura. Like, it's not light enough for what I'm trying to do, and it's a little bit too desaturated. Yeah, see, most of the time, this is why I just prefer to watch David play the Zelda games. I'm just like, you know what, honey? You're really good at this, and I would suck at the fighting, so I'm just going to sit and help you with the puzzles by spotting things. and remembering stuff. And yeah, you can play through it. Oh, I may have thinned that too much. Curses! Curses! Curses. Alright, that can be a thing, because leaf bud is not high coverage. So I'm going to try to duplicate my success here. Ah! That's way too much, but that's okay. Alright, we'll go with that. I just need it to actually cover. Leaf bud is a very, can be a low coverage color, so sometimes you got to keep it thicker or put an undercoat under it. And that is one thing I could do to make sure it shows up, is I could put a white undercoat under it. Let's actually do a comparison on that and use it as a teaching point. Alrighty, mix up that white. I just mixed up a little pure white way over here, and then we'll play with this. Do a little bit of underpainting on one part, and then a not underpainting on another, and we'll take a look at the difference, if any. That's a bummer, Dogfather. Alright, so we're going to try to put this green down. What I'm really eyeing for a place to put this green is here and there. And then I probably want to use the green on somewhere else. So probably these little bottles as well. So first I'm going to do the white down here. And we'll do a layer of the green, or a couple layers of the green over the gray, and then we'll do a bit of it over the white and see if there's an appreciable difference, although I have to do another layer here. There. Alright. Boop, boop, boop. It's pretty cool that your wife is getting into it then, Dogfather, because at least then you've got somebody to share it with if you do get back into the hobby. Alright, so if I put that green in there, it just kind of fades out and totally just like isn't even visible. That's a little better. I can definitely see it on the underside where I can't see it on the top side. I'm not sure if it's going to work though. Looking at it, I'm like, not sure I like it. That green is just not liking me. I'm going to leave that green there. I'm going to put the yellow on the hair, put the blonde hair on. And I am actually going to just base with blonde hair. If I do shadows, I'm just going to put them in later, probably with Shield Brown or Driftwood or both. I just want to make a little more progress on blocking this model in. Yeah, I do always get more done if I paint with people, and that includes being on stream with y'all. Especially Saturday. Like, I make good progress on my projects. by hanging out with you guys and painting. Now keeping lighter colors up top is going to help attract the eye upward on the model. So we'll just get this in, and it should look, it looks lighter on camera, but it's working just fine with the purples. Yeah, I'm just not sold on that green. I thought I might like the green a little better with the yellow in place, but now I'm not sure. I'm still not going to change it. I'm gonna sit on it and see if I like it. That's good, Hyper. Ah, and there it is. You are so good enough to show off, good Dogfather. F that. I've seen your painting. Confidence. That's it. All because some stupid jerks decided that your painting wasn't worth a silver medal. No, not true. Stop it. That's what, you're right. That's it. Right there. It's the confidence thing. You're right. So it's actually not like, yeah, it's confidence. You're right. It's that. But the thing is, your painting is better than so many other people's. Like, it really, really is. You're on a continuum. You're not, there is no I suck or I'm great, okay, in the hobby. In any art, there is not. There is that, it doesn't exist. You're at starting point infinity or you're at ending point infinity. You're somewhere along in here, right? Maybe you're not as high as you wish you would be, but and that's what you'll have to battle. That is your battle, Dogfather. We cannot help you with that. The best we can do is support you and say we believe in you. I have seen your painting. You could easily get to silver. Like, it is a thing. I believe you can, but you need to believe you can. And whether you want to engage in that mental development is up to you. And if you don't want to, that's fair. You don't have to, because it'll be hard, right? It'll be hard and you'll have to tackle a lot of things about yourself. Maybe things you just don't want to tackle. So I get it. I totally get it. So that is your choice. And it is entirely that choice, because you have to make the choice that you want to get past that before anything else will work. And if you make the choice that you don't, it's okay. You don't have to, right? It's like you don't have to use the hobby as a self-development point. You really don't. You could go find another hobby. You could take up knitting or anything else. So it's all good. It's all good. It is all good. But you can do it. I've seen your stuff. I have no doubt. But that's because people are getting better, and every show is different, and the judges are different. It's not any show. We try to be objective at Reaper, but try is the operative word there, and you're not going to get a completely objective opinion about anything in the hobby, any art. You're just not. It's not as easy. Like, there's no way to quantify it like with weightlifting. With weightlifting, you can clearly see that you've benched 100 where you used to bench 95. And in minis, you just don't get that. You don't get that like hard, easy, like objective assessment. It just doesn't exist. Like, there's not much I can tell you, and I'm not going to criticize my fellow judges. But the system is not made for certainty. We do the best we can. But what matters is you and your hobby and your relationship with that hobby. And I believe that you can, but if you don't believe you can, doesn't matter. Jason Wiebe years ago, he loves to quote, I forget who the quote is originally from, but whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And he's absolutely on that quote. He quotes that a lot. And Jason, as you know, is a very can-do kind of person. I admire him a lot for that. He's very wise, and he's very smart. But, I mean, give it some time, if you care. But if you decide that you're done with it, that's fair. It's all good. It won't be the first time that somebody who had potential decided that a hobby wasn't for them. Like, it's okay. Yes, I agree, Quindy. Entering competitions is really great motivation for some people, but for other people it can be really detrimental. Yes. No, Dogfather, okay. You know we love hijacking, for one thing. You know we do. And two, this is valuable stuff. Like, people watching this show are going to be having the same quandary that you are, right? They're going to have lost confidence. They're not going to believe in themselves. They're going to think they suck, right? Some people go through their lives thinking they suck at everything. And hopefully some of this talk and some of these tactics and some of what we've been sharing will be of value to them. So it's never wasted time. It's never wasted time. Don't you dare think that. You did not hijack the show. You gave us a really valuable talking point during the show. So much so that I'm almost tearing up, okay? Listen to me. Sniffle. I believe in this crap, damn it. Go watch Hobby Cheating 400. Oh, man. Yeah. Hyper derailed us last week, and it was a valuable thing too. Like, we get emotional about this hobby, right? We get a lot tied up in it. It's just it's because I think of it as a lot like your dogs and your kids. Because your art, when you're creating something, like, you're giving a lot of yourself, right? You're putting yourself out there, and that's scary, right? So we get really involved with it. And that means it has the capacity to be really good for us or really bad for us sometimes. And it's all just a relationship that we have with what we're doing. Right, exactly, Laura. Just like I said with the weightlifting, like, you know, if you're lifting and you lift like 75 and then you lift 80, you're like, yes! But even in weightlifting, there are days when you can't hit your previous high, right? It happens. But it's much more clear-cut measurement, and you're not going to get that in painting. You're not. Yep, so much of art is about life. It is true. It is so true. So our painting is an expression of parts of ourselves, and when we put that much into it and someone else doesn't appreciate it, it hurts. And it can get frustrating, and it can make us angry, or it can make us depressed. Like, it can do that. All right, solid coat. Good. All right, I need a skin tone. I am going to... No. Although maybe. It's not as muted as I'd like, but I'm going to try it. Well, and you can have very different pieces of art that are appreciated by very different groups of people, like at different levels. Yep, you never know. We'll be watching this back and hear it and have it resonate. Exactly, exactly. That's why I try to read the chat aloud so that people can have that too. Yep. Quindy, when I got a competition result that I took really hard, I had to take a break from entering for a while to have a very long talk with myself about how choosing to compete was affecting my mental health. Yup! And why it was doing that, and how I could stop it from affecting me that way. It was a much needed break, and it helped tremendously. You're the queen, Quindy. Exactly what I was getting at. Yeah, but you know what? If you had chosen, Quindy, not to do that work, if you had decided, you know what? Now is not the time for me to tackle that part of myself. That's fair. That's cool. It would have been okay. You know? Like, all of this stuff is a choice. All of this stuff is a choice, and it's not always the right time. I don't know that I could have attempted what I'm doing now with diet and exercise at any other point in my life. I wasn't stable enough. I wasn't, like, happy enough. I wasn't, like, you know, I had, like, just too much stress, too many commitments. So we're going to try this Rosy Shadow. It is a little bit more muted, or more vibrant, but I'm going to lay it down. We'll highlight it. He's not going to be pink-faced, but we will highlight it, and it'll be a little bit more muted out, but I want to see how it looks, because I kind of feel like I'm going to like it. So I'm just going to put a coat of it on there. But yeah, so whatever you choose, Dogfather, we with you. We with you. And never feel bad about any of you. Never feel bad about bringing this stuff up. If you're having a challenge, if you're feeling like tired of the hobby, if you don't have the love anymore and you're not sure what happened, like all that stuff, you can bring it up. Some suggestions may help, some suggestions may not help, but you know, we care. We care. Now, a lot of us have gone through stuff with our hobby that's similar. All right, so with no definition or anything, I'm going to do this. Yeah, our brains don't make it easy. Cool, Lion. Which competition are you gonna enter there? There are several. First competition at Adepticon. Yeah, our brains are weird. That's okay, Twistoma. Yeah, you missed the self-helpery. That's okay. You don't need it. Your suggestions usually involve painting dragons. It's good. But yeah, Lion, I entered Privateer Press Grandmaster a couple years ago. That was my last Adepticon competition. I keep wanting to work on Golden Demon, and I actually have a project that I'm working on now for it. But that's going to take till next year. Oh, Resin Beast! Yay! Yay, Creature Caster! Super awesome! I love their models. My only problem with their models is that there's so much of them. They're so big that sometimes it's just like painting one to the standard I can paint it just would take me all year. I started one of the big kind of Slaanesh demonesses. Someday I may finish her. But man, I'm going to have to break that model up into sections and just do a section at a time. Alright, I'm going to use the ears because I always forget the ears, folks. This is absolutely always forget the ears. So that's not too bad. Alright, I'm going to light around that. Oh, first convention as well. Adepticon's pretty good. Go to the there should still be the Wapple, Fort Wapple, the painting, free open painting area under the stairs in the front foyer of the hotel. it's a good place to camp out and just work on your stuff while you're not doing something active. But there are a lot of competitions. Of course, the vendor floor is miniatures centric, so it's great. I do enjoy Adepticon. And there's lots of classes, too. Although a lot of them probably be booked in advance. IPMS show. The figure that I entered was done on a whim. No plans to enter. Just run their painting, call it good. Grabbed the last model I did before I boxed everything up, and it was the most crap against the wall model. I showed up with it, and it's like, if I get something, I get something. If not, who cares? Yep. Yeah, Val. I'm there, too. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, these days, I paint competition minis just to paint something I like. And then I just throw it at the wall. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Sometimes I get surprised. Like, you all know I painted that Halfling Assassin. And just, David was like, well, you should, I was just going to enter Mr. Grumpy at Kubla Khan at our local convention. He's like, no, you should enter Halfling Assassin. I'm like, really? All right. And she won Best in Show. And I was just like, all right, I guess. Sometimes it'd be like that. But I didn't have anything invested in that. Like you say, it's like I entered it to show it off, just to help out the competition so that there would be more entries. And then it ended up like everybody really loved it. I'm just going to do a quick lining. Now all I have really is black, which is going to look really harsh. So we might end up doing some more black on this. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, yeah, Hyper Bunny. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, they didn't justify it. Well, that's a competition you never go back to. Like it can be fair. Like that can be the thing. Like I said to Dogfather, who didn't have a great. If you don't have a great experience at a competition, or you notice that it disheartens you, or it has a negative effect on your mental, you are well within your rights to just not enter that competition again. Like when they judged my blue werewolf was blue, and so it didn't it wasn't good because it wasn't as good as it is because it was blue, right? That happened to me at a competition. And I never entered it again. Even though I normally would have loved to enter it again because it was a DFW area competition and I like to support. But sometimes you just don't. All right. I'm going to want to block in. So right away, lining around that face has helped it. I haven't lined around between the purple and the face, so I'm going to do that. I'm kind of mixing my brown with my black for this liney color. Because I hate black lining so much. Yeah, because it was blue. Yeah, that was my most unhappy, because I had put a lot of work into that Wolfen. Well, he's up on the shelf. I'll grab him in a second. 1 second. I can paint better than him now, but... But that was my worst judging thing. And it was, again, they didn't follow the rules as their judging criteria as defined by the open system. The open system's not supposed to care about that. It's not supposed to be a button counter system. All right, so trimming up the area around the face helps. Yeah, Wolfie. Wolfie was my avatar in the Reaper forums. Probably still is. Because I always was grumpy. So I wanted to be the grumpy wolf. Wolfie. I can paint better than Wolfie now. Wolfie, this guy. Yes, folks. His nose is rubbed off. I need to fix him. Oh yeah, I've got some black. I can fix him. But yeah, Wolfie, I can do better. But at the time, I had put a lot of work into Wolfie. A lot of work. A lot of love into Wolfie, because I love Wolfie. And yeah, he was not worth a gold medal because he was blue. They couldn't get over a blue werewolf. This is an out-of-print model from Confrontation, the Wolfen Army of Confrontation, Kodiak. You might still be able to find it. His name is Varger. I'd have to look up the spelling. You might still be able to find it on eBay sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, well, who cares, Velthorn? Just paint whatever you paint, and then if you have something to enter it. That's what's going to happen with me with Kubla this year. If I've got something done, I'll enter it. Well, and then when I asked about it afterwards, because I knew one of the organizers, he was like, "Oh, well, the judging team on Saturday morning wasn't as good as the judging teams on Friday." I was like, "Whoa!" Like I was done. And sometimes that just happens. It'll take you a while, Kodiak. Yeah, I like doing blue-gray wolfies too. Because it's different, right? I like the feel of it. But I'm going to line his mouth while we're at it. Oh, yeah. Confrontation mini. Yep. I mean, it takes time, just like everything takes time, Kodiak. But if you care about it, you'll be able to do it eventually. You'll be able to paint something that you paint like you instead of like me. But as far as painting something to that level, sure. Mouth, because I always like to paint in the eyes and the mouth. We're almost done with the stream, so I'll just do that real quick and then we'll call it. Didn't quite get everything blocked in today, and I'm going to need to add this brown to the card, but it was a pretty easy mix, so I can do it. There are some pretty good werewolves out there these days. Some decent 3D print ones. But I still think some of the Rackham Confrontation ones were some of the best. It can be real difficult to get the eyes on the other side of the head. I'm going to turn the model all the way around, guys. And I'm going to come at it from a top-down side, over the nose. And I'm going to paint bigger than I think I need. And then I'm going to come back and refine it if I have to. Because I can always paint more skin around it if I have to. Yeah, I got down onto the cheekbone a little bit there. I didn't get the eye high enough up. So I can fix that. And the way I fix that is actually by painting white and then doing the skin tone. So hold on. I want to check up on the Oh, Hyper, that's terrible. I wonder if they didn't have enough awards. It's very dumb. Yeah, you should, Lion. I mean, that's part of the creative process, right? Your cat is acting funny. Okay, cool. I will count your thanks then. You found him, Varger? Yeah, so there you go, Kodiak. Next year ReaperCon, or maybe it depends, but maybe aim to do it for next year's ReaperCon. You could start him this year, and then you could get feedback from me at the con and finish him for the following ReaperCon. So I'm doing a little bit of white underpainting, guys, underneath that eye to reshape the eye. Just thinning it up a little bit and getting my cheekbone back. Then I can paint the skin tone over it again and we'll be fine. But you can see how that helps. Wow, yeah, that's just crappy. I would never go back to that competition. And I would be very, very vocal about why exactly I wasn't going back to that competition. And I would tell all my friends. Although I bet you weren't the only one who was really upset, so. Those are common people who don't realize that, like, the youth and the people who are working their way up are the life of the hobby. All right, so we got those eyes blocked in. The mouth is blocked in. I need to do shading on the skin, but I think the skin tone will fly, so I'm going to keep it. So rosy skin. I'm going to make a note. I'm going to fill out my card. Alrighty, where's my pen? Need to do my swatches. You guys know the dealio. So let's get our brown swatched out. I'll do a bit of a thinned. Sometimes I'll thin it and pull it out because with a dark color you can see the color better. And this is going to be russet, walnut, blonde, and it'll be a 2-1-1 mix. And then rosy shadow for skin. Skin base. So I just scribble things like that, and I'll put a dab of the rosy shadow on there. I'm not on the Reaper forums, Valthorn. I almost never go there. Why don't you just email me? 1 second. Let me get that out. Let me write down my hobby email. Hobby email if you have questions about the paint. This is my Patreon type account. All right. painting.big1@gmail.com. painting.big1@gmail.com. There. Throw me an email there. May take me a couple days to get back to you because I'm working on my Patreon stuff this week. So I tend to get to email later in the week. Alrighty, and I add a dab of rosy skin base here onto my card. Yay, and then blonde hair. Oh yeah, box art? Yeah, Kodiak, that's a cool goal. This takes work. Alrighty. And then boop, 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 boop. Just making a note of my hair color, even though I don't think I'm going to forget it. But you know what? The minute you think you're not going to forget your hair color is the minute you forget it. 9257 hair. Base. My card is getting all filled up because when I'm using a lot of colors that I don't otherwise use, it means my card is like getting all used up. But you can see actually that things work together pretty well there. The green is the one thing that I don't think I like it. I think I'm gonna block in the gold, fill in the other stuff, the leather and everything, and then I'm gonna see what might work. Part of me says green is still the answer, but I might actually need to go for that darker green. Like, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what I have to do. If you're one of my patrons, Valthorn, that's the other thing. Like, I have a Discord, so people ask me questions on there all the time. But I didn't know if you did Patreon stuff, or if you were a patron. If you were, because you've been out for a while. So, all right, I'm gonna just block in this darker green. I guess maybe I'll like that better. I might like that better. It grays it out a little bit more. Makes it not quite so stick outy. I'm still not sold on it. Still not sold on it. Not sure that it's what I need. Yeah, not sold. Thinking we might end up going a lot of neutrals on this. Might go pale blue instead. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The Patreon, though, has a free level. And you get early access to the YouTube videos, essentially, for the free level. That's what I just post them up there, and then when I come out with a new one, I put the previous one up public on YouTube. So if you want to try it out and not forget it, you could do that. And I think that still gets you Discord. I'm not sure about that, but I think we've had free people join Discord, so. It's going to, though, Twisted Oma. I think it clashes. I don't think it's actually correct. So I just want to try the dark one in addition to the light one. So I'm not going to do any really bright color with this, with the green, though, I think. So, but sometimes, Twisted Oma, sometimes you just have to try it. You just have to try it and see. I think I'll change it. More and more I'm thinking about going with like more of a blue-white or something like that. A really light blue. But I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it. Yes, everybody, thank you very much. And thank you for all of the derailing and other chat that has gone on. And Kiki is giving me the eye from the hallway. Wanting her walkies. Oh, her head, she's just like, whoop. Thank you, everybody. All right. You guys have a great day, okay? Oh, tomorrow, oh yeah. Tomorrow we're to the project where we don't know if Anne's going to stick with it. We're back to Violet Purple Sophie, who I'm going to actually, I think, start highlighting the skin actually with more of a skin tone color. I think I'm departing a little bit from my visual example, and I think I'm going to highlight this with more of a fleshy color. So we will work on her tomorrow. It's ReaperCon Gigantic Druid Sophie. Be there, everybody, okay? I'll see you later. Quindy, thank you, as always, for being our wonderful mod, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.